Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under, and here is every single Battle Royale game that you can play in 2018. First up, we have Armor Free Battle Royale mod, and this is the mod that started everything, created by Player Unknown himself. He then moved on to help H1Z1, and then obviously after that we've got the juggernaut PUBG, but with that said, this mod is the reason why this whole genre exists. Chinese tech giant Tencent is publishing a new Battle Royale game called Europa, which features 100 player battles on an island with dynamic weather and destructible cover. Now this game is set to be a direct competitor to PUBG. It's going to be available on Steam for the PC, and it'll be very interesting how this plays out. Ark Survival Evolved was a game that had massive popularity many moons ago, but with that said, they went and released a spin-off called Survival of the Fittest, and basically it's Ark Survival Evolved, but Hunger Games, and with that said, it had a relatively decent start. But over the last couple months, there has been a lot of really negative reviews on Steam. A lot of people not liking this game because basically developers have gone and dropped it, the whole player base is dead, but I wanted to go and include it on this list in order to make it really complete. Rules of Survival is by far the most popular mobile-based Battle Royale game right now. 120 unarmed players get airdropped into a very large deserted island, where you can use vehicles to get across quickly. Now this game completely rips off PUBG in every single way, but it's really well made and probably your best bet if you want to go and have a little bit of Battle Royale combat on the go. But if you have a look at the Android store, there is a lot of other Battle Royale rip-offs that you could potentially go and play. Knives Out, Survival Royale, Last Battleground Survival, Grand Battle Royale, Free Fire Battlegrounds, Battle Royale Strike Survival Online FPS. Basically, there is a lot of mobile Battle Royale games, so tell me in the comment section below if you want me to go and play all of these games, and I might go and make a top 5, because nobody in their right mind would actually go and download each of them in order to go and test them out, so I wanted to go and maybe do it for you guys. Dying Light Bad Blood is a standalone multiplayer expansion featuring a blend of PvP and PvE gameplay from the original Dying Light. Now Bad Blood matches you and 5 other players, and you're dropped into a zone with a goal of evacuating before night goes and kind of overwhelms you. You have to go and pay for seats on the extraction helicopter with blood samples harvested from the undead, and that forces you to go and work with your teammates in order to go and collect those samples, or you could just go and completely stab your teammates in the back, grab their samples, get a nice spot in a helicopter, and they're basically screwed. The Darwin Project takes place in a dystopian post-apocalyptic landscape in the northern Canadian Rockies. As preparation for an impending ice age, a new project, half science experiment, half live entertainment, is launched. It's called the Darwin Project, and it challenges participants to survive the cold and fight to the death in a treacherous arena. Now, the Darwin Project offers a competitive multiplayer third-person survival experience featuring at its core a new gameplay innovation, the Manhunt. In his or her path to victory, a player must survive extreme environmental conditions, track opponents, and set traps in order to win. And the gameplay for this title looks really sweet. It's extremely fast-paced and competitive with a third-person perspective a lot of people love. Keep an eye out for this one. Survival Games is a multiplayer Battle Royale FPS being made by a small indie team for the Steam platform and the Xbox One. Now it's going for that Minecraft look that everybody knows by now, but it's somewhat dominated by Unturned Arena and Minecraft Hunger Games. However, Survival Games tries to go and do something different with randomly generated maps, but will that be enough for people to go and play? So naturally moving on, let's talk about Unturned Arena, and this is a compacted version of the Battle Royale format. You hop on, get some guns, kill some enemies, and have some fun. It's easy to get into and games are relatively short, so overall it's a worthwhile mode to go and play if you get bored of any of the other modes that are available in Unturned. SOS is a survival game where surviving isn't the only way to win. You're on a dangerous island with 15 other players and 3 of you will escape, but you're also on a fictional reality TV show called SOS, hence the name. And if you're more entertaining than your competitors, the real life audience watching you on Twitch can help you win. Now this is a completely different slant to the whole Battle Royale genre, taking the popularity of Twitch and Battle Royale and pushing them together. Now if they get this right, then I believe this game will go and take off, as we've seen with how closely linked PUBG and Twitch is, even from the very start. If you go and have that perfect formula where the streamers are big streamers are getting into this game and the crowd is actually interacting, the people watching them, then obviously that is a really good formula for success. Islands of Nine Battle Royale is an online competitive first-person shooter inspired by works such as Battle Royale and The Hunger Games. Handpicked by a mysterious alien race and taken to a distant homeworld, the chosen players must fight each other to the death in one of 3 ever-shrinking arenas. Now this game is trying to go for the hardcore, competitive FPS angle, but isn't that already kind of taken by PUBG? I like the futuristic slant, but personally I doubt that will be enough to really grab a slice of that Battle Royale pie. Pavlov VR is a virtual reality based first-person shooter game, and this game has been out for quite a long time and is basically the standard when it comes to FPS on the VR platform. Now, it looks cool, it's a lot of fun, and it's going to be getting a Battle Royale mode very soon. And that's not trying to go and overrule the main mode, it's simply just kind of a little bit of an extra in order to go and complement the main game. Last Man Standing was one of the first spin-off Battle Royale games, and what happened is they took a very dead game and they refitted it for the Battle Royale hype. And when it first came out, a lot of people really into it, and it was a kind of decent game. But it just got progressively more pay to win, where you could go and pay for bonuses, you could go and pay for these really unfair advantages, and it's not the worst game I've ever gone and played, but when I go and play Battle Royale games, I want that really fair experience where everybody is on a somewhat kind of common footing. But in this game, if you go and pay, you can have a very big advantage. So personally, I would stay away from this if I were you. Hi-Rez is a company that always hops onto bandwagons, and now they're hopping onto the Battle Royale bandwagon with Paladin's Battlegrounds. Choose one of 8 heroes and drop in with your squad. The Battle Royale map consists of PvP maps as towns, with big open areas linking them in between. Now this is the first game that allows you to go and start as significantly different characters. All these other games are like, okay, we're equals, we're going to drop in 100 people, we've got no weapons we're going to start off with, but with here, the looting aspect is simply to go and get better gear, not to go and get weapons. So for example, Kinessa, the sniper, when you go and drop in, she has her exact same kit. Simply you can go and kit up your character by getting different pieces of gear out of crates. Now with that said, I like this concept, but I want it to be taken further. And to be perfectly honest, I think during this year, we might see this whole Battle Royale concept being introduced to games like League of Legends, Smite, and Dota, simply because it kind of is a little bit of an okay fit. Standout Battle Royale VR. Now, it looks like another PUBG clone, but this time in VR. Now, technically, it looks solid, but it doesn't really bring anything new to the genre besides the VR element, which Pavlov is already doing. I'm not trying to hate on this game, but it's simply just VR Battle Royale. But with Pavlov, you have the whole other aspect of the game, that team deathmatch aspect, that I think a lot of people are really enjoying right now. It's got a lot of popularity. And with here, I think it doesn't really have that base that it can really go and stand on and say we're doing something that's significantly different. Alright boys, let's go onto the speed round. Prison Royale, Roblox plus PUBG. Fortnite, free-to-play building PUBG. Okay, it's not just that. I love Fortnite. Fortnite's one of my favorite games right now, but I think that's the easiest way to go and summarize it, right? Tell me in the comment section below. Building PUBG, free-to-play, cartoonish, easier to run. Is that how you go and sum it up? Who knows? Tell me in the comment section below. Before we go to the next game, I just want to quickly say that I am sponsored by Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite Battle Royale. Now, if you guys want a free download of Fortnite Battle Royale, there is a link in the description below, and if you go and click that and download the game, install the game, and all that, I get a very considerable kickback, and it really does help out the channel. So with that said, if you want to go and try out the game, the link's in the description below, or you can use a link from any other YouTuber that is sponsored by Fortnite, and overall, I think we would all really appreciate it. Rust Battle Royale. Rust, but PUBG. PUBG, actually PUBG. And then we have H1Z1. And I didn't want to go and just summarize H1Z1 because I think H1Z1 is a game that has had a very rocky history. When it first came out, damn, this game was really fun, and all my friends played it, I played it, and it was a really great experience, but the lag was frustrating, the servers were frustrating, and overall, it was a bit of a mess, and it felt like the devs weren't really communicating with the community. Now, a lot of people moved on. I moved on to PUBG, and then I moved on to Fortnite. A lot of people moved on just to PUBG and just stayed there. and that's absolutely fine. But H1Z1 just kind of left on the horizon as kind of the third type of game that nobody really wanted to go and play. But they're trying to go and reinvent themselves. They're trying to go for this competitive slant. And to be perfectly honest, I think that is a really, really good idea. It still has a core community that still goes and plays this game. And to be perfectly honest, it is a game that is still worth playing if you don't like PUBG, and if you don't like Fortnite, if you don't like any of these other games on this list, maybe H1Z1 might be up your alley. Let's clump two games together in this one. Foes.io and 5 Minutes a Kill. They're both top-down 2D Battle Royale games. You hop on for like 2 minutes, you shoot a few enemies, and you have a quick game or two, and it's definitely a lot of fun if you're bored, or if you're at school, university, whatever, and you can't have access to fully, full-fledged games. You can just hop onto a browser and play one of these for a while, and I think you might have a bit of fun. The next one to talk about is GTA Online Motor Wars, and this is a mode which is essentially a last man standing match where 2 to 4 teams fight each other, and once a player is killed, they do not respawn until a winner is declared. The game starts with the teams jumping out of a cargo bob and parachuting into the fight zone. In the fight zone, several heavy weaponry and armored vehicles are scattered around the map, which are available for all the teams. Now, the difficulty is that every time, the fight area becomes smaller than before, as we all know, with these whole Battle Royale genres, the circle keeps going in and in and in, and with that said, this game is a little bit more brutal. If you're outside the circle for a very short amount of time, you just be instantly eliminated. Your health just doesn't go down and down and down progressively like we see in PUBG and Fortnite. Now, this screams PUBG, but because of the GTA format, it plays out completely differently with a variety of weapons, cities, and vehicles that really change up the gameplay. Warface, it's a free-to-play first-person shooter, and it now has a Battle Royale mode. I'm personally not a big fan of it, but a lot of people are, given that on my review video, and I gave it a little bit of a bashing. 50% like, 50% dislike, a lot of hating comments, but with that said, it's good because this game has a community. So if you want a free-to-play, first-person shooter based game where it is very, very quick matches with fast-paced gameplay, overall, it's a bit of an extra to Warface. It's not going to be the whole main bulk of the game, but if you want to go and hop in and just have a few games and whatnot to go and complement your normal Warface experience, I think this mode would be a-okay to go and play. Now, to go and end this video, we have the Culling. It had a decent start, but now only 5 people currently playing. So to be fair, this game is very much dead. It had a decent concept, but very little unique progression and a massive amount of bugs and issues. The reason I put this game last is because it's dead, and that's what I fear a lot of these games on this list will be by the end of 2018. Try to go and capitalize hype is fine, but you have to go and do something different like what SOS and Fortnite does. If you're trying to go and do the exact same game as PUBG and you're not on mobile, then there needs to be a few changes. The same situation occurred with Overwatch when it first came out, and even with that said, a lot of somewhat decent games died because they just got snuffed out by the Titan. Like Lawbreakers, decent game. Battleborn, decent game. And they did a lot of things differently to Overwatch, but with that said, people just saw Overwatch, cheap game, and a lot of people playing it, and for just when it went for the big one. And I think that's what's going to go and happen for the majority of these really small niche games coming up. So with that said, Fortnite, PUBG, H1Z1, those were the originals, and I think those are the ones that are going to be staying. But then you have SOS, and then you have the VR games. They can have a little bit of a following as well. And then you have the 2D ones, and they can have a bit of a following as well. But if you're trying to go and do the exact same thing, I think it's going to be a very bad outcome. The reason I say this is hopefully a developer can go and hear me if they're thinking about doing a Battle Royale game. Just try to do something unique. We don't need any more Battle Royale games. I've made enough videos as it is. There's a lot of games out here, and there's so much choice. And with that said, the majority of the new ones are just going to go and get snubbed out. Now, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to go and give it a like rating, and also subscribe if you want more Battle Royale videos. I'm going to be doing a lot more Fortnite in this channel, so hopefully you guys are there to go and watch it. Bye for now, it's Undercover Dudes, all the way from down under, out.